Hey, it's Mad, and today I'm going to talk to you about Ninja Master Hawkeye and Angela, and kind of give you some insights on why they're good and honestly why they're not. But more than likely, if you are planning on doing high end dark visions, you will need to get. All right, we're just going to go quickly through everything here. All in all, what we're going to do is kind of just go through everything quickly and then kind of explain the positives and negatives here. The TMR Black Garb is kind of nice, gives 500 attack to Hawkeye and gives 50% Demon Killer with 50 attack. Uh, and all in all, this is actually a decent STMR, just because I like having 50% Demon Killer and 50 attack is nothing to scoff at. And the STMR is very, very good. 80 attack, 75% limit burst damage. Most people are going to say if you're going to be pulling for Hawkeye, you're going to be wanting the TMR and STMR, and I do agree with that. The STMR is definitely worthy. 80% plain attack with 75% limit burst damage is very, very powerful. True, there's a lot of units that come out now with 200 or even, some of the maximum limit burst damage, but in case there are other units that don't, this is going to be one of those for attack specifically that are going to be the first ones that you're going to go to. And even so, for some magic users, if you can get them to 400% magic, then you might be using this to bump up their limit burst damage as well, as right now limit burst damage is by far the most important thing. Now, interesting, Hawkeye has two different forms, and the element resistances are completely different, which can be a little bit frustrating and interesting at the same time. His normal form actually gives you 50% fire, lightning, water, and earth, and his brave shift form gives 50% dark. Just kind of going through that. The armors and weapons are kind of okay. Let's just go through the normal first. Gives four different abilities. The first three, earth, water, and fire, all have the same max and 52x. Start with up to 4x to 96 and decreases the resistance of earth, water, and fire by 120%. All of them AMOE, which is a little frustrating, but you're really not going to be using it too much for that. Fourth one is lightning, which is actually a little bit more powerful. Only needs 5 times max instead of 11. Goes from 68 to 108. Once again, though, 120%. Can steal item from an enemy. You can also provoke using him as well. So if you want to make a provoke tank. And what's nice is you can be triple casted 3 turns. You can kind of ignore Moogle Charm if you need be, etc. And has the ability to recover MP to one ally. And the Shadow Slash is nice to try and increase your limit burst gauge. It does increase your attack to 30. Not really going to use it very much for that, but it's going to be more for use the LB gauge. Can be triple or quadruple casted as well, as you'll see in a minute. Has the ability to Warring Spirit, which will give him full LB, increased static third. Hates beasts, has 200% chain modifier cap while dual wielding, so you don't have to increase anything there. Can dual wield, increases skill from battle. What's nice is has 50%, 30% physical and magic evasion right off the bat, not too bad. And has 100% dual wielding there, and I don't think there's any others, so you still have to add another 100 dual wielding to max them out there. The attack is okay, so you've got 200% attack right there with the 500 attack on top of it. You can get 200% there. Once again, this is that. And has the ability to, through the bolting strike and steal with some damage for the normal attack. It's okay. It's kind of interesting. This limit burst is actually fairly disappointing. So in JP, they did not have White Dragon Ling. So this was the first time that dagger resistance was there, 25%. This was kind of key. At this point, Ling does had the same amount of dagger resistance of 25%, so this is not unique. The damage is fairly poor. Yes, you can increase your limit burst damage by 150%, but there are units that can do roughly as good, if not better. And 160x damage to one enemy just isn't super strong. Alright, so let's go to his Brave Shift form, and remember this guy's true Brave Shift. You can go either or for the entire time and switch on whim. What is interesting here is he's fire and physical with Chaos Wave here. He can also, and honestly his better form all the way around is his Brave Shift form. And so you have the decrease here for 80% breaks with some chance for sleep, silence, and disease. The disease is pretty nice because it does lower stats on top of some of the other stuff. The dark physical damage here could do poison. What's nice here is he has 130% dark resist here and can get up to 200 max for true dark rain. Very nice dark damage, fits fairly well with Sephiroth. So from a dark vision standpoint, definitely going to be something interesting for dark. But what we're going to go here, we've also got provoke, we've got a triple here, is this skill down here. Is the physical damage 300x to one enemy, 90% defense decrease for 4 turns to one enemy. And just to state here, so that you know, this is able to be triple casted. This is the main reason why you're going to really want to pull and use this unit to get him to EX3. The 90% damage defense reduction is lock difference, and he has not quite as good of a limit burst attack as Zidane, but he has a little bit more use than Zidane, and I'll show you in a second why. Even with the increase of static 500 plus the specific one there, it's going to be just a little less than Zidane's damage output overall, if you don't include the ability to have the best defensive break plus the 25% daggers. And yeah, you're probably going to be using Zidane's daggers on him as well. So we have the same dual wielding Gil, 50% evasion, so that's all fairly same. Just remember the main difference between Brave Shift and normal is the elemental differences. This one only has dark, so you do need to understand that. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is his limit burst. His limit burst is very similar to Zidane's, where you can increase it. You really need to do it 3 times for the final chain in order to get max at 280. It does do 25% dagger resist to all enemies, and on top of that, it gives 150% limit burst to himself only, which can't be dispelled. So comparing to Zidane, the big difference here is Zidane has a 290x. The power levels, I would say Zidane has just a little bit more pure power level. The main thing here for Hawkeye is basically this. Has the ability to do multiple elements to imperil, which is good. Most of them are 120. Dark is 130%, which is top tier. And the other main thing is that he has defense at 90%. So what is Hawkeye good for? Hawkeye's really what you're going to be looking for him the most is that he's going to give you that defense. Remember, it's 6 turns. You only get 4 turns out of it, so it's not going to be 100% uptime either. He has 80% that he can counteract in between, so it will not be as painful overall to do so. Positives. As I say, his big negative is he's just not as powerful as Zidane, but he does fit roles a little bit better than Zidane does, and if you do get him, and if you go through, use the VIP coins and buy the 2 bundle shards for Lapis, you only need 2 of him to get him to EX plus 3. only in quotation marks, I know. Do I think people who are free to play should be getting him? Honestly, your only hope is to get him cheaply to get the STMR and TMR. But all in all, if you are planning on being a pusher for Dark Visions for higher scores, unfortunately, I do think he is necessary just because of the ability to do the 90% defense break plus having almost Zidane like limit burst on top of it. You can replace Zidane, or what you can really do is replace your breaker, add him and Zidane, and get a lot more damage out throughout the entire team. So there is Hawkeye. Now let us go to Angela. Alright, so we have Angela here. And I'm going to say she's the one that you really should be focusing on because she has a lot of magical ability that is really powerful out of these two units, but in certain areas she still struggles behind Louise as an example, and I'll show you why in a second. Her TMR is good, but just good, not really wow. Rune Coat, Magic 65, Defense 31, just light and dark at 20%. Good magic for the resistances. If you are looking at trying to get some light and dark resist overall, this is going to be probably the main one for your magic users. But it's still relatively niche overall. The STMR, more important than magic. I'm a little disappointed by this. I do like the increased resistance to charm by 100% with 70% magic. That's what you're really going to be using it for, is if you need the charm resistance. The 50% magic and 25% accuracy when single wielding any weapon. I am a little disappointed. I'd really like to have seen it up a little higher. But, you know, some units just don't have that much magic. This will help with single wielding. But honestly, more than likely, I think most people are going to be using, I want resistance to charm, and I'm looking for some more magic and pump it in that way. Hawkeye's is definitely a better TMR, STMR combo. Angela is a much better unit. Big problem with her is that she is not a true Brave Shift unit. You do need to plan her attacks a lot more than you can with Hawkeye. She has it from turn 1, but she can only last for 4 turns. And she has to stay in her Brave Shift form for 4 turns. Then she has a cooldown to normal, cooldown to the Brave Shift for additional turn before you can go back. For most of the time, though, you're going to want to stay in her Brave Shift form. So it's, at least her cooldown is only 1 turn. So it's not a huge negative, but it is a little bit annoying. And I'll tell you why it's really annoying in a little bit. So her normal form is pretty decent overall. I can kind of consider her normal form more of a arena cancer type unit than really a dark vision type unit, except for the fact that for shield of mana, but once again, you know, still not the greatest for dark visions because it's 50% mitigate magic damage taken. You don't want to be taking any damage, but they do form units that basically can't be blocked anymore. You can't get maximum clear until turn 2 where you take damage. This could actually be useful. 50% is pretty good magic mitigation damage, especially for a unit that does a lot of attacking. This dark damage here treats as physical with Stardust Ray, 45x. She also has this weird one where it does 44x at the end. And it can inflict death, stop here, and 35x, petrify here, 35x for ice and stone or earth, and she can also decrease dark resistance by 120 in her form. What's probably you're going to be using overall here is this magic damage. That's the physical, increased limit burst gate 8 to caster. And you're going to triple or quadruple cast it. This is by far the most important skill on her normal form. because you want the ability to go through all that. This is a weird ability. The increased elements by 50% to 2 turns for allies is just meh. What's interesting, she could do all 8 elements in an AR ray chain. This is a odd but can be a very important skill for certain mechanics. I remember the Ghost back in the day where you needed to do all 8. Treat this as a rainbow whip on a unit, so if you have her, this could be something to cheese out some mechanics overall, but otherwise you're not going to use it at all. We have the 3 here, which decrease spirit by 80%, which is okay, honestly, for the damage it can do, but you're hopefully going to be bringing in a more powerful spirit user instead and want to be using this to increase her limit burst gauge for the 1 turn that she'll be down. So we have, she can double, she can also triple spell here, and I believe down here she can also quadruple spell if you have certain availabilities as well. So she can build up an awful lot and do a very lot to you. So she can single, double, triple, and quad cast. Another good one here is the Magic and Spirit 300% and refresh her MP. She will go through MP a lot. She also has the ability to recover MP 3 times. And this damage here does pretty good. So remember, it's Spirit 50% ignore, so it's a 200x total. And will increase modifier as well. It's a 4-turn cooldown, so basically what you'll do is, if you do it on turn 1, then you switch over to her Brave Shift form, and by the time she switches back, you can go through that as well. She has the ability to do 60 magic if you get her an EX3 500, and I do highly suggest that if you're going to can only do 1 EX3, it really should be Angela. She will be the most used. She has 100% match here, so 50, 150, and 250 here. So she is only looking for another 150 if you include her STMR. That's another 50 on top of that. So she's looking for 100 overall total, which isn't too bad. And as I say, I do like her STMR because that's 140, 160, and 190, 230 over there as well. So plus the 70, so it's 300 right there. So she's only looking at for 100 and 100. Depending on all, if you give her her own STMR, which is pretty powerful. She has a chance to counter, which gives her 9x on all magic and all physical attacks, except for her LB, which we'll talk about her Brave Shift form. Her LB is best. She can also do Rampage and Magic, which gives her quadruple spell. She also can do that with Latent Magic Awakened, which I believe is a skill we'll talk about in a second. And she has Loud and Lonely Mass, which is a okay skill, but it's more used for her limit burst. Her normal form is an okay limit burst, but what I do like about it is it is a decent SPR if you get to level 40, of decrease of 84%. Not the greatest overall, but it's usable, and if you need to really roll comprise everything, she can be done. And her damage is okay at 65% basically with that. Let's go into her Brave Shift, which is very, very interesting. Her best skill is Hot Shot, which gives her fire element to herself and gives 50% damage to herself for both as well. She can decrease fire resistance by 130% for 4 turns and does CWA fire damage at 100%. So this is a very, very powerful skill. Now, she has the ability with Earth, Lightning, and Water to do 72x damage of that element with 120% decrease in peril for 4 turns for each of those elements. She also has Dark, Earth, and Ice that does 50x damage along with 80% decrease in Spirit She can triple. Latent Magic Awakened here is that one enables 5 turn skills, quadruple spell. So that you'll do on turn 1 or turn 2, depending on exactly your style. I generally would say first turn you update her on her first one to power through. Or if you're doing a Dark Visions where you're going to try to do her Limit Burst at the very end, what you're going to do is quickly transform her to Brave Shift, and then you're going to use her as a do as many Limit Bursts as possible. After turn 4, she will move back, and then you will finish her off and try to do a turn 6 or a turn 8 kill overall. No real changes here. No real changes there as well. Her Limit Burst, though, it is a bit annoying, but she has an insane multiplier. If you can do 5 times at 80x each, she can get up to 635 damage. It is a one-hit final. It is a very, very, very powerful finishing move. And she can do an insane amount of damage. This is magic. It acts like physical. So this is going to be like her best finish move. Especially if you can get someone like Louise to help break the spirit by 90%. You could just see her doing insane amount of damage, especially in Dark Visions. And in all fairness to Cow, she will be fairly useful as well. She doesn't hit the insanely godly numbers like they do with the others, but she still actually holds her own pretty well as a finisher. Now, the next scout that we are going to get is going to try to stop with the stacking. We'll see if we can get around that. We don't know as of this, for the summon here, but she is the better pure unit, especially for damage, just because this here has a lot of utility overall. Now, finally, let's just go over the card. They are shared both by Hawkeye and Angela. And to be quite fair, it is a very interesting card with 110% of both attack and magic, along with 80% of attack and magic, and then for the mana units, they get 50% more limit burst damage. So let's just assume that you get really lucky. You pull a Hawkeye, get him to EX2, and you get Angela to EX3. That gives you 3 cards. 1 for each Hawkeye and Angela, and then another one if you put a hybrid user as well. This is a great card for the hybrid users. Yes, you don't get the LB damage, but having 80% attack magic with 110 each will really get their stats up pretty high. From other units, though, 80% is not bad with the 110, but you're going to probably fit better with either attack or magic, especially since we're getting a lot of these that are at 115 or 125. But in all, these vision cards are actually pretty powerful overall. So, in general, if you can only go for 1 unit and you are looking for a new damage dealer, I would highly suggest that you go for Angela. If you are looking for a very powerful STMR that gives very high attack and very high limit burst damage, you're going to go for Hawkeye. And as I say, I think Hawkeye is going to be used a lot more than people think, only because, the damage is a little less than Zidane, but has the 90% break on top of it. People used to bring Lock in for that for the defense only, and then kind of go along with it. Hawkeye has more utility than Lock does for damage and with the defense, but Lock does have pretty interesting utility in other ways. But from a pure defense breaking standpoint, Hawkeye's probably going to be the person of choice, just because the ability to do that break, and then the next turn, or it to completely annihilate the enemy with a pretty powerful one for dark visions. So I guys hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe because that helps me a lot. You can also visit me on twitch.tv/Madgarou. I play FFBE when I am live, and I try to state when I am live on my screen when I will be hopefully next available. So thank you guys very much. Good luck if you do pull. And if I steered you away, let me know why. And also, if I helped you, please let me know why as well. Thank you very much, everyone. I will see you guys later. Bye.